What would you say if I were to tell you that the very water you're drinking is poisoned with lead, or that the air you're breathing is filled with sulfur dioxide? Not only this, but whole economies will crash and ecosystems will be underwater in 50 years. Now this might sound like the latest dystopian film, but unfortunately, there is a high chance this will be our future if we don't act now. Hello, my name is Harry Blair, and I am here representing the people who have no voice. Thank you for letting me speak at the 2020 United Nations Climate Change Conference. I can see the room is full of very powerful people who have heavy influence, and as current leaders, it is your role to look forward to ensuring that we leave the world in a better place than what we found it. Today I stand here to expose the overuse of coal power, producing poisonous waste, as well as causing global warming, which will see economies crash and countries lost. Then I'll ask for an immediate call to action by requesting a complete stop in coal power, which will help prevent future disasters by eliminating a large proportion of global emissions. I know you want your children and grandchildren to live in the same beautiful world that you did. So let's work together and get this done. Global emissions are at an all-time high, with 38% of electricity coming from coal. This itself is an enormous issue, as when burned, it releases a number of toxins and pollutants, which damage us and the planet. Many of our power plants don't have the necessary emission controls, which allow leaks of poisonous chemicals. Pollutants like mercury, lead, and nitrogen oxide, which can have huge health implications such as asthma, brain damage, and cancer, says the Union of Concerned Scientists. As a result, more and more premature deaths are occurring due to air pollution. Imagine if you found out that you've been getting poisoned just by breathing, and you don't have much longer to live. Then there is the issue of water pollution. Whole chains of river systems are being contaminated and becoming untouchable, causing not only small villages, but in some cases megacities, to not have any water. This is unfair and very wrong. 500 million tons of ash is left over from coal burning annually, and more than half of that ends up in lakes and ponds which feed larger systems. Not only this, but the monumental use of water to cool machines is causing a whole new set of problems, such as energy-water collisions and the total obliteration of mountain streams. An example of this is Laurel Branch Hollow in West Virginia. What used to be a stream full of wildlife has been turned into a black wasteland due to the Hobbit Mountain Removal Coal operation. Things such as this must stop in order to preserve our waterways and our planet's overall beauty. Now I know what you're thinking. If contamination and pollution are the only problems, can't we just find ways to filter the waste and ensure power plants use them? Well, this brings me on to my next major problem, global warming. Climate change is coal's most serious long-term global issue. For those of you who don't know, coal is mostly carbon. What does that mean, I hear you ask? Well, carbon reacts with oxygen and creates CO2, which is a heat-trapping gas. As a planet, we have produced enough CO2 to cover the Earth with a blanket-like gas, and it's only getting thicker. The burning of coal alone makes up for a huge 25% of all CO2 emissions, and this must stop. So far this year already, we've seen many major disasters as an effect of global warming. These include floods, record-breaking fires that have destroyed homes and ecosystems everywhere. Unfortunately, the worst is yet to come. Let's look at Australia as an example. The most recent bushfire season, known as the Black Summer, saw the total destruction of 18.6 million hectares, 5,900 buildings, and killed over 30 people and 1 billion animals. Many endangered species have become extinct, and others which were flourishing are now endangered. If nothing is done to dramatically cut emissions soon, then this will become the normal. Finally, there is a concern of rising seas, which will collapse cities and whole economies. Every year, the oceans rise 3.2 millimeters, which doesn't seem like much, but has added up to a whopping 23 centimeters in the last 35 years. The primary reason causing this are thermal expansion, melting glaciers, and the loss of Greenland and Antarctica's ice sheets, which all directly relate to temperature rise. If nothing changes, then both you and future generations will have to face consequences such as destructive erosion, more dangerous hurricane and typhoons, and city disappearances. As a knock-on effect, mass migration will occur, forcing people to higher ground and overpopulating areas. Think of your children and grandchildren. Do you really want them to live in a world filled with this chaos? As some of the world's most powerful people, you can make the change. I am asking for an immediate stop to coal power and start using alternate methods such as solar and wind. If we all unite as one, we can stop this downward spiral of devastation and allow for future generations to have a better life. Here's what needs to be done. Every country needs to build enough means of sustainable energy to power the nation's baseline. Once this is done, you must start shutting down any coal power plants. This will protect our air and water as well as saving coastal cities. However, if this doesn't happen within the next 5 years, then our destruction will be irreversible and could potentially lead to a mass extinction. It is literally a matter of life and death. This is bigger than just you as individuals. Every nation needs to unite, not just a small few, as together we have the power to make a change and save this beautiful planet which we call home. Thank you.